Well, Apple didn't need an event to announce these. The brand new iPad 10th generation plus a new iPad Pro I'll get to. I've got all the details in your first look here at EFTM. Now this might be familiar to a lot of people. This is the iPad Air. Came out in this beautiful blue, square edge design, very similar to the iPad Pro. And what we've now seen in the iPhone 12, 13 and 14. And it's the fresh look from Apple. But the 10th generation iPad looks exactly the same. In fact, there is only a couple of little differences. It says iPad on the back, not iPad Air, and the smart connector dots aren't there either. That's for that magic keyboard. So, for all intents and purposes, it is almost identical. It is narrowly different in measurements. We're talking micromillimeters here, and they look so similar. Buttons are in the same spot, Touch ID, but there's just these differences where these connector points are different. There's no magnetic attachment for the Apple Pencil, and that's because the iPad Air supports the second generation Apple Pencil. The iPad 10th generation only supports the first generation. But it is really more like an iPad Air Lite than it is a new iPad. So if you look at what the iPad is, and I'm talking generic, no other names attached, iPad Air, iPad Pro, that's their own thing. But the standard iPad has always been that entry level. This 10th generation is far from being entry level. It starts at $749, goes on sale Thursday, 27th of October. The 9th generation predecessor retains the curved edges, the classic iPad look, home button, but at $549. Still higher than years ago. The iPad used to be in the 400s, but this at $750 would be a tough sell to say that it's an entry level. But it is a step up, a generational step, both in design and capability. So inside is the A14 Bionic chip that you would have got in the iPhone 12. The iPhone 13 had the 15. The iPhone 14 has the 15 and the 16. So actually the chip inside is a couple generations old as well. And then when you compare it to this, the iPad Air, well, this one has the M1 processor. So this has the latest Apple silicon for kind of laptop grade performance, computing grade performance. So almost pro level performance in the Air and your everyday performance here in the 7th generation. I've got to say, the colors are magnificent. This is a little more salmon than it is pink in real life. I think sometimes the light you catch it at is how you determine what the color looks like. But it is a little bit more salmon than pink, but sitting here in the lineup, it obviously is far more vibrant than you might have expected. The yellow, I think, is the standout color. The blue, as you can see, is a lot bluer. It's a brighter blue. This is more of a washed out blue on what was the iPad Air and still is the iPad Air, and this is the silver. Now all of them feature the full screen pin code. All of them feature the full screen, full width screen. They don't have the home button, really pushing it here. So it's the exact same screen size as the iPad Air. It just doesn't have the M1 processor, and it only supports the Apple Pencil first generation. The screen is also not laminated, which just means there's an air gap between the touchscreen and the LCD screen. I don't know that in everyday use you'd notice it, and I personally don't notice it. I use the iPad Air for very fundamental basic tasks, and I think that's what this really is aimed at. That said, it's amazing graphics. So the capabilities of the screen, the overall performance of the screen is a standout for me. But there's one problem. It's USB-C charge. Now that's great because so many devices are USB-C charged. So you can see here, USB-C underneath. And that means obviously you can't use your iPhone cable to charge it. You'll get a cable in the box, and if you've got a laptop that has USB-C, great. But the Apple Pencil first generation that this supports is Lightning. So you're going to need a little something extra. You're going to need this. Now, Apple haters are going to love this one because it basically is, you might describe it as another dongle. Look at that. It's the USB-C to Apple Pencil adapter. And it is a double-ended adapter. So it's female to female in plug terms. And it's on one end, USB-C, and the other end Lightning. And that's fine. But now, look at this. I would have expected this to be a male connector to go into the iPad, but no, I've got to now reach into my pocket or wherever I put it and find my USB-C cable, okay? So we've got a USB-C cable that you might have got. This is a Belkin, but it'd work with the one that came with your charger for your laptop. And then I've got to plug it in to the iPad. So now I can pair the pencil. So, and then what it does is it actually comes up and says accessory connected. Let me just get in there again. And it will do a Bluetooth pairing of the pencil. Kind of strange. Let's plug it into a different device so that we see the pairing process. So you'll remember Touch ID on the top. So that's awesome. It's been a few days since I've used them. So Touch ID is great. And then let's plug in the pencil and it'll come up on screen. So Bluetooth pairing request. So we pair and now we've got ourselves a Bluetooth connected pencil that doesn't need the Lightning, but it will need to be charged, which also means that you can't plug it in to the back of the iPad. So you used to be able to, I'll turn that bottom one off because we're getting confused here. Let's unplug, okay? We've got ourselves a pencil and it works. Welcome to Apple Pencil, good, 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 good. Now let's open up the Notes app. And let's start ourselves. There we go. So we can, so we can draw. Beautiful. Okay, Apple Pencil, first generation, works great. And then the pencil's going low on battery. So you used to just plug it into the bottom of your iPad, but now we've got to find our adapter. We've got to plug it in here, and then we've got to plug it into the wall. It's not a good look, Apple. You've got this reputation for coming up with dongle, 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 dongle. And so now what you're doing is you're creating a new process whereby to sync and to charge the Apple Pencil on a device that is USB-C, you need this little adapter and to use your cable. It's just a bit much. It's a missed opportunity. I mean, I understand the Apple Pencil second generation might now work with the M2, but I'm pretty confident the second generation came out before the M processors. So what is it about this that they don't want the Apple Pencil second generation to work on? Is it the magnetic touch on the top? Is it just that they want a point of difference? But the point of difference creates this weirdness. And I just don't think it's a great look. A lot of people won't use the Apple Pencil on the iPad, so it won't even become an issue for you. Apple say there are millions of Apple Pencils in the market, and so this is a device that caters to those existing Apple Pencil users. Great idea. And then the Apple Pencils are expensive, let's be honest too, so that's a strange thing too. I think that's a strange thing. It's not a deal breaker. I actually still think I would recommend to most families that a 9th generation iPad at $500 odd is probably the perfect device for most people's streaming media, social media, email, all those kind of web browsing. This obviously has greater capabilities. There's going to be better gaming on this. There's going to be better performance from this. But it is then, you know, $150, $250 to go up to the Air, which is a big leap. So you can see this kind of midpoint. But it's a strange midpoint that this sits in. And I think the main thing is the colors are what are appealing about this device. Beautiful colors, very vibrant. And I think a lot of people will really enjoy having something that's, you know, quite unique and quite different when they're out and about doing their whatever tasks it is. You could take this obviously anywhere you like. Now, accessory wise, let me find the appropriate one. Let's have a look here at the folio. So this is the smart folio that we'll put on the yellow device. Okay, so smart folio attached. Very good, great protection. Again, still very vibrant colors, which is excellent. And obviously you now get that ability to flip it around, sit it straight, stand it up, whatever you want to do with it. That all works pretty great, and there's no real issues with that. And then the other accessory, which this is compatible with, is the Magic Keyboard Folio. Now that's different to the Magic Keyboard. So you'll know the Magic Keyboard is the one that kind of props up the iPad Pro, and I'll show you the iPad Pro in a second. So this is the Folio version of that, and it's in two parts. So let's put the back end on this one, and then you've got a simple click in place down there and a kickstand. So that's how the Keyboard Folio works, and obviously you can shut it like that and also flip it all the way around to use it like that. So it's pretty diverse. If you're doing a lot of typing, it's great. I'm pretty confident that a lot of people will use that. It's a great way to go, because obviously there are third-party accessories as well that do a very similar or the same thing. So you've got your standard Folio and your Keyboard Folio accessories for the 10th generation iPad. I wouldn't recommend using any iPad Air accessories, or use them at your own risk, because there are things about the iPad Air, as I mentioned. When you put them side by side, you can see you've got these connector here, and on one side you've also got this magnetic connector here as well. So I think that's for the Apple Pencil. So just be cautious about assuming that something for the iPad Air is going to work on the 10th generation iPad. So there's your 10th generation iPad. Great, beautiful new device. I think colors are what's going to sell it, but still super usable, great power, great performance, and an all-around cracking device. And then there's this, the 10th generation iPad Pro. 10th generation. This is just the new iPad Pro. So this is the one that sits slightly differently, okay? So this is hanging up in the air. That's that magic that they talk about with the Magic Keyboard. Now this, let me tell you, this is aiming to be one hell of a device. So we've got Face ID, which is on the left-hand side at the top, kind of, but in landscape on the left. Great keyboard, M2 processor. Now I haven't got it, and I can't use it yet, but Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve, Aussie company, great software, video editing, works on here, and that just is to demonstrate the power and performance of this device. I'm going to switch to this basically as my primary device, including video editing, once Blackmagic becomes available in November. This could be a game changer. This is no different to the previous generation iPad Pro, other than broadly that amazing M2 processor. And there's one other big difference that you get because of that. It's going to be very hard to demonstrate here, but I shall do my darndest. Basically, I've now got hover, and I'll have to shoot separately. But as I wave my Apple Pencil within 12 millimeters of the screen, I can actually see on the screen a dot where it's going to start if I draw. Okay, so you're basically getting this kind of warning as to where you're going, and they show great examples of if you're doing coloring, color matching, you can match the color and make sure it is the right color before you drop the pen on the paper. Not sure it's that big a deal. Artists and sketchers and designers and people that do that kind of stuff, let me know. Maybe it is, but it's just a nice new feature that makes sure that you go, okay, I want to really make sure that I get that on the edge there, and so there it is, boom. Instead of going, oh, am I on the edge? Oh, I missed it. So there's an advantage to it. Second generation pencil is obviously amazing, also a touch expensive. But this is the iPad Pro. Starts at $13.99 for the smaller version and really racks up in price once you start speccing it up with memory and all the like. And this keyboard, of course, is nearly a $500 accessory. But that said, for portability, for usability, if you can get away from a laptop, this becomes super portable, great device. If you're a traveler, I travel with a laptop and an iPad, why? When I can do everything here. iPad Pro, iPad 10th generation go on sale October 27. Great devices, remarkable in so many ways, and well worth a look if you're in the market for a tablet. Apple is continuing to shine in everything they do. So check them out. All the details are at EFTM.com.